there is something that needs to be talked about. And this is something that I've noticed from time and time again. I've kind of touched on it before, but in this video, let me also keep my hands off this so I'm not vibrating the camera. But yeah, it's something I've also talked about before. But in this video, I'm gonna shed light on it a bit more because consistently I'm seeing every interaction that is something that needs to be talked about. Something that really needs to be talked about. And it's the yin yang energies, the masculine and feminine energies, the light and the dark energies. There are many iterations of what it means for these, but I feel like there is a lot of negative connotation or really misuse of labeling things and putting things in a box. Because in expressing and exercising the masculine energies of the yin yang, it's the container, and that same container could be the same as you labeling something as this or that. Meanwhile, the feminine energies are what are just being, flowing, unadulterated, chaotic. The feminine energy is chaotic in its nature. But when you look around at what's going on today, there's a lot of things reflecting this. And admittedly, as conscious individuals, a lot of people are not going about it in the most productive way, whether it be the best way for themselves or the best way for others. Because there's content that I watch on YouTube. I watch a diverse of content. Let me clarify that first. I watch a diverse form of content. I'm going to put some thumbnails of the videos that I've watched recently on the screen, and I'm kind of going to respond to all of those in this video because, again, this is something that needs to be talked about. I'm not sure how the algorithm is going to do. I'm not sure how the algorithm is going to handle this video. But if you resonate with anything that I'm saying, if you agree with anything I'm saying, or if you want to debate on anything I'm saying, you can comment down below or give a like, either one or both, or even if you want to continuously have discussions like this, or you want to see more of this kind of content, you can just hit that old subscribe button down there. But these masculine and feminine energies, on a micro level, it's between the individual. On a micro level, you have to take that time to dive within yourself so that you can critique yourself in a way so that you see where you need improvement. You can see where you need to be better, or you see where you don't know what you need to do, and you probably need some kind of external guidance to help you in your internal journey, which again is what I specialize in, but that's not the point of the video at this point. And for a lot of people, I'm going to reference this video here, the one I saw about with Aber and Preach, where there are conservative men looking to be with liberal women, yet they aren't compatible because the conservative man wants the liberal woman to pretty much give up everything that she has gone through her journey to obtain just to be a stay-at-home wife. And that says a whole lot about the conservative man, in that externally, for both the conservative man and the conservative woman, externally for them both, they are doing the things, they're doing a dang thing. She is her and he is him in their own respective rights. However, for you to tell someone else who is doing her thing to no, you have to give that up and be my wife, well, come on, bro. For one, why would you do that? Why would you tell the feminine incarnate to stop doing what she is doing? I'm on And I'm only saying that to go to the point of these people who are essentially being as hyper masculine as possible, the conservative men, they have wounded feminine energies. Now, let me also clarify this right now. The feminine and the masculine are not exclusively male, man, and woman. They're not exclusively man and woman. The masculine and feminine dynamic is everywhere. You even see it in your electronics. You have a port that plugs into another. The port that the port that is there for things to be plugged into is always considered the female port, whereas everything else that has the thing to plug in to that port is considered the male counterpart to that port. That's an example of the masculine and feminine energies. Another example of the masculine and feminine energies is what I was talking about not too long ago, where life is just existing in its own chaotic nature, not chaotic evil, not chaotic good, just pure neutral chaotic chaos. It's pure neutral chaos. And then here comes the masculine energy, holding space, labeling things as this or that. And that's just how the balance works. There's a great spectrum of things. And I think I explained this in a different video, but I'm going to explain it again. A lot of what is going on right now, well, a lot of this existence can be summed up with like this D&D analogy. You have the alignments here on screen, and it's not exactly a box. It's more like a sphere, and there's in this sphere there's no real end space, but for this example there's going to be an end space to this sphere, and there's going to be 9 quadrants of this sphere. Not many people fall in that center space, but a lot of people are around the center space. Some people may be closer to neutral than others, but it's all a spectrum. And you have some liberals being on one side, and it's like everyone has their own space in this analogy, in this example. Everyone has their space because there's no true one right way. However, morally and just logically, and it just makes sense. A lot of people can agree that basic needs and necessities of just existing and experiencing this life should be met for everyone. Like, no debate. There should not be a debate about it. The fact that you want people to have food and shelter and their basic needs need to be met does not even make sense to be labeled as liberal in the first place. But apparently, with how things are presently, you will be labeled as liberal for wanting that kind of stuff for other people. Well, wanting that kind of stuff for everyone. Which, why? Can I just not want people to live life? But anyway, I'm gonna try not to go off on my rants too much. So I'm gonna get back to the point. So we're talking about the masculine and feminine energies. And the conservative man needs to work on his feminine energies, needs to work on receiving. Not on an external sense, but on an internal sense. And unfortunately, this is definitely a United States of America kind of thing, where over here, a lot of people are in their lower chakras. And by design, it's 100% by design, we have all been conditioned to be in our lower chakras, our sacral, our root, and our solar plexus. Not many of us rise into our higher chakras just due to how things have been conditioned in this space. Pretty much this country, with many different countries, because every freaking state in the United States is literally its own country. It is not the same here in Missouri and then in St. Louis, because for real with St. Louis, not to be political, St. Louis is Democratic, but everywhere else in Missouri is Republican. Anyway, saying all that to say, in this spectrum, well, not even that, it's healing these energies. Same with on the internal level, the liberal woman needs to work on her masculine energies internally, not externally, because again, everyone is still practicing their masculine and feminine energies respectively. You are allowing yourself to go in your creative flow, but having a structure, like a held space of structure and order, so you can allot time for this and allot time for that, so you can exercise your creative energies. And that's not just for the liberal woman. That's for a very creative individual, period. You have to allot your time, hold space for yourself, exercising your masculine energies so that you can properly exercise your feminine energies. And gamers, oh, especially gamers, we do that a lot because playing video games is both a masculine and feminine thing in terms of the energy. You are allowing yourself to flow into the world of this video game. But in these video games, you have things you are completing, you have tasks, you have some kind of structure of how you do things. Because as of recently, I was playing Minecraft, and with how the flow of Minecraft works, a lot like life, you have things that you can do. There's so many things you can do, so many processes you can follow, so many things you can learn to do. Or you can choose to go down this path and just focus on mining for diamonds. Because I was mining for diamonds the other day, and for like honestly the next couple of sessions I sit down and play, I'm just going to be mining for diamonds because I lost my obsidian armor. I mean my netherite armor because I fell in some lava. I did I did the one thing you're never supposed to do in Minecraft and dig straight down. I've done it before. Sometimes I'm successful, but this was one of those times where it was like, nah, fell right in lava. Anyway, it's being able to exercise those energies both externally and internally that is important, because everyone already, due to conditioning of growing up in this system, we have learned to exercise both the masculine or the yin and the yang in our day-to-day lives, creating structure so that we can have time for the things that we enjoy, so we can flow and be childlike, but also set time for things that need to be taken care of because it has to be taken care of. Furthermore, it's these energies that first they need to be identified, and it's not the same for everyone. Because for me, being the masculine energy incarnate, it was due to my relationships with my mom that helped me navigate the feminine energies. And I would say it was interesting. I feel like anyone who grew up with a single mom, you will get this easily once you start the process, because it'll look like you'll be analyzing and reflecting on a lot, or pretty much every experience you had with your mother growing up, because your mother was the only one there as a single woman taking care of you and your siblings. And it's through that interaction, well, through those past interactions and you just unraveling everything you experienced so you can be the best version of yourself, you will see that so much of what she did, regardless of the abundance of, the lack of, or like the fact that you're even here watching this video right now, there's a lot that you can gain from growing up with a single mom. Because for me, it was learning what unconditional love was. It was learning how to navigate these feminine energies. And it was learning that with navigating this, I can further do more with and expand on myself. And that I'm, again, the masculine energy incarnate. I can still be masculine, but also be aware of these other energies that are within me. Because science would even tell you everyone has testosterone. Well, estrogen with the A. Everyone has estrogen and everyone has estrogen. It's just that some people incarnate as dominant feminine, some people incarnate as dominant masculine, and then depending on that person's experiences and what led to them being who they are in this present day, they are feeling somewhat different. And that doesn't change anything, because again, as the more you get attuned with these energies within yourself, the more you're able to navigate the external world, because as above, so below, as within, so without. By that, I mean, the better you're able to navigate these energies and emotions within yourself, the better you'll be able to navigate what's going on around you. And unfortunately, a lot of what's going on right now is pulling at our attention spans so that we are not able to sit and be silent. I mentioned in a different video that I realized that I've been under the radar and pretty much I've gone undiagnosed. I have ADHD, and I didn't realize that until I started doing entrepreneurial things. But me realizing I have ADHD was a good thing. Like, now that I'm fully aware of how my brain operates, because for me, my brain, like, processing information, the way my brain processes information's words. Let me slow down. The way my brain processes information, it just made sense. But it wasn't, again, until I started to do entrepreneurial things. Like, I'm getting my own clients, personal training, spiritual mentoring, and interacting with people who have ADHD, both my students, people I train and mentor, and my colleagues. And then coming across Jading Animation's video on their experience with learning that they were ADHD. I'm like, oh, yeah, I definitely am. And I wasn't sure how to feel about that in the beginning. But as I started to accept it, I was like, okay, I know this is not a disability. I've always known it's not a disability, because even with my students who had it when I was a high school teacher, I realized these individuals need to be given not even more or less attention, just give it different kind of attention, different kind of stimulation. For me, which is why I'm able to break down things the way I'm able to break down and just have dialogue about it. And I could just talk all day. This could easily be a 2-hour video of me just talking about stuff and going all over the place and coming back like even I am right now, because I'm only talking about what's relevant to this, and I'm also explaining what I'm talking about. In the process of me talking about what I'm talking about, you picking up what I'm putting down. But anyway, now if we get back all the way on topic, navigating these energies is what's really important, because the more you're able to navigate it, and again, that's why I brought up the thing with ADHD, because even if you have that, you'll be able to navigate this better, preferably unmedicated. But if you have been on medication, don't stop. You'll have to phase out of it, because one of my colleagues, when I was a teacher again, she, in her ADHD, made this full list, this freaking Excel sheet of so many different supplements and foods and things that she can take outside of Adderall, because Adderall would like make her not feel good, but she would notice that she would get work done. And I'm just like, yo, this is freaking amazing. This is like, bruh, beautiful. Like, so many different things on that list. And at that point, I was not aware. I did not acknowledge or even identify as ADHD. But now that I am, it's like, okay, I know how to navigate this. I need to exercise my energies. And again, going back to what I was mentioning with what I learned from having a single mother growing up and understanding how to navigate those energies that she passed down onto me and that I grew up with, while innately already having estrogen and estrogen within me, yet still being born as the masculine energy incarnate. It has created so much balance within myself. And it has taken some time for me to navigate some of the things, because in the process of me unraveling and navigating, I'm realizing, oh, some of the stuff I'm experiencing right now is due to me unraveling all of this nonsense that was not of me, but of the conditionings that were placed on me, the labels that were placed on me. So many things that were not truly and authentically of me came from my mom, her predecessors, society, and its labels and conditionings, so many things. And again, these same things are pulling at our attention, at our energy, at our essence, at our drive, at our motivation, to prevent us from sitting still, sitting within our bodies, sitting within our emotions. And also, we've been conditioned to identify with these emotions in a negative way, a very, very negative connotation. And yo, it is a lot in the beginning. Like I said a moment ago, I can talk about it and break it all down. I'm going to attempt to do that moving forward, because just to recap really quick, this video is about the yin and yang energies, the masculine and feminine, the light and the dark, the hot and the cold, the masculine being the hot, the feminine being the cold, the hot, masculine, sun, cold, feminine, moon. These energies are everywhere. They are within us. They are external of us. They are in animate objects and inanimate objects. The masculine, feminine dynamics are everywhere. And with how the energies work, it is a spectrum, which is why I mentioned before the D&D reference with the alignments of like neutral, lawful good, and all that stuff. Saying all this to say, to navigate these energies is truly a superpower. Similarly with how it works on a physiological level, the left side of your body is connected to the right side of your brain. The right side of your brain, the left side of your brain is connected to the right side of your body. The left side of your brain is also the logical masculine side of the brain that is connected to the right side of the body, which is interesting that a lot of people are right-handed. Majority of people are right-handed. So the more you are using your right hand, the more you're exercising your left hemisphere of your brain. And for us lefties, we are by definition exercising the right side of our brain, the creative side of the brain. But is when you learn to use both hemispheres in conjunction with one another. That is what Kemet calls godhood. You can take that how you want, because you got to think about it. There's nothing wrong with being, I don't know if y'all can hear this right now in the background. I'm gonna shut up for a sec. There's nothing at all remotely demonic about being ambidextrous. Not saying that you have to learn to write with your left and right hands, but there are ways you can exercise these energies for the left and right side of your hemisphere. The right side of your brain, you exercise that by doing creative things like drawing, painting, creative writing. And honestly, with creative writing, that kind of exercises both of them at the same time, because you're going to need some structure in that of some kind, of a beginning, middle, end, and all that jazz. But yeah, like for the most part, to sum it up, to exercise the right side of your brain, besides being left-handed, there are things you can do to exercise that creativity. Learning to play an instrument, like whatever it is for you to exercise your creativity, that is how you will exercise the right side of your brain. Now for your left side of your brain, that's for like the logical things that can help you with math. That is creating a list and creating a schedule or routine, like creating some kind of structure, some kind of order. That is how you will exercise the left side of your brain. Now that's just that. That's just in terms of the body and how the body is connected within itself. Left side of the brain, right side of the body, right side of the brain to left side of the body. That's just your body. Now, on a deeper level, we have the chakras. The three lower chakras, as I mentioned before, are the sacral, the root or the base, the basic, the sacral, and the solar plexus. Those are the masculine energies of the chakras. And that is where, again, a lot of people in the United States are sitting in due to, again, conditioning, like fear-mongering, emotional manipulation, mainly just that second one, the emotional manipulation part, because that ties in back to what I was mentioning with the Aberrant Preach video. There's a lot of emotional manipulation going on. And it's not okay. And it feels like there's like myself and a small handful of individuals that are even aware of this, or even at the very least talking about it, whether they're talking about it amongst themselves in like dialogue, self-dialogue, mental dialogue, or they have someone they can talk to and have a back and forth with. I don't know many people I can have these kinds of conversations with, which is why I make content and just upload it here. And when those people are available, yeah, we talk about it, but they're not always available. And I'm always like having something going on in my brain. Like something is always going on in my head. I'm either making notes of it, or I'm just allowing it to play out. Because, like, on a separate note, I'm working on a story, a fan fiction, and I'm realizing this is actually some good stuff. I know it's gonna get a lot of hate, but I don't care. I'm not doing it for the hate. I'm doing it for the love of the game. But anyway, yeah, it's a matter of getting that internal imbalance, healing your masculine energies, because there's a such thing as a wounded masculine. There's also a such thing as a wounded feminine, and depending on where you align, admittedly, not to be political, but where you align on your political stances, that can tell you which of your masculine or feminine energies, or energies in general, need to be healed. Because again, how can someone in their right mind, funny, technically in their left mind, but how can someone honestly think that it is in another person's best interest to give up everything they created for themselves to devote their lives to you? That is incredibly toxic, and something we all can agree with is we are tired of toxic dynamics and toxic relationships, and that is a definition of a toxic dynamic and relationship. And I'll admit, if someone so chooses to give up everything that they've created for themselves to devote to one person, that's their choice. End of the day, that's their choice. That's the beauty of free will. You can make whatever choice you want. Now, that doesn't change the fact that there is still this great majority of individuals who are actively against the feminine energy expressing itself. Again, the feminine energy is not exclusively woman. The feminine energy is women, or people who identify in their femininity. It is also creativity. It is also flow. It is also chaos. It is also spontaneity. It is so many things that admittedly still need space to exist, which is why you need to also exercise some masculine balance in that dynamic. You need to set time, set boundaries for all of the things, which is why, again, like I was saying multiple times before, you need both. However, if anyone is too far in one direction and too far in another direction, that's when things have problems. That's when problems arise. That's when people start to have a bad time. Kind of looking at the time in the video, it's been 30 minutes. Because again, I can keep going. I'm trying to, because I'm tying in and pointing and connecting the dots and all that. But ultimately, I wanted to talk about creating that balance within yourself. So we'll wrap this video up in this direction on what creating that balance looks like. So that balance, admittedly, is different for everyone. But for myself, and what I practice with myself, and what I teach people, is how to create that balance. Now, there are so many different ways you can go about it, but in the process, what you find works for you. Now, for some people, it's finding their archetype. There are masculine archetypes and there are feminine archetypes. You could use these to help you on your journey or not. The choice is yours. Beauty of free will. Now, the approach that I take is what I'm going to share with you. So, what I do is I ask myself a lot of probing questions, like almost like the kind of questions you would ask someone on a date or in the first interaction to get to know them. Ask yourself those kinds of questions. Like, what do you like? Why do you like doing it? How are you feeling? Like, literally ask yourself, like, how am I feeling? How do I feel about this? What do I want to do? Like, what do I want to eat? Like, that's just surface level, right? We have to go deeper into the iceberg. How do I feel about this thing that I experienced when I was a child? Because a part of balancing these masculine and feminine energies is healing your inner child. Because again, like I mentioned before, the three lower chakras, the root, sacral, solar plexus, and then above that is the fourth chakra, the heart chakra. The heart chakra is where the inner child would be located. Your inner child is who you were before you came into this reality, and technically who you always are, but you have to unravel the conditions, the societal standards, the emotional trauma that was passed on to you. You have to unravel all of that to get back into your authenticity. And again, it's going to look different for everyone, but the way that I'm sharing with you that I do for myself is something that works for everyone, because they're like, you will find answers to these questions that you are asking yourself, or I would be asking you if you want me to guide you through these processes. You will find those answers. They will not always be immediate, but those answers will come. Like, one thing that is very true, what's this in the Bible? It's been so long since I read it. If you seek, ye shall find, or something like that. It says the saying is something like that. But yes, that is a key part. Healing the inner child is a key part, because you have to start at the base. You have to start at the bottom and work your way up. So first you would start with the root chakra, asking questions that involve your safety. What are you afraid of? What is, like, how is your relationship with money? Because your basic chakra is where a lot of that stuff ties in. All your survival stuff is tied in to that. And then depending on the kinds of trauma you had, both your root chakra and your sacral chakra could be both traumatized. Some people have experienced some very traumatic things, because with the sacral chakra, that's admittedly where the sexual energy is. And scientific fact, the horny hormone is also testosterone. Just also, as I mentioned like 30 minutes ago in this video, everyone has estrogen, the masculine testosterone, well, the masculine hormone, and estrogen, the feminine hormone. And the sacral chakra is where the sexual energies are. Now, depending on, again, where your trauma is, you might have dual trauma in both of those, depending on what you experience. But with the sacral chakra, again, sexual energies, it's not just about sex, it's just about your creativity. Like, what inspires you? What makes you want to do the things? What motivates you? And another way, again, to do that, because this also ties in to the heart chakra and some chakras above that, like, how do you express your creativity? How do you express yourself? Like, honestly, to sum it up, is your expression of yourself. And honestly, now I'm thinking about it, me doing Twitch helped me with healing that chakra, because quite literally, I would have to have some kind of conversation, whether I have viewers or not. And it helped me express myself. Like, I, at one point, would not have been able to do this if I didn't start streaming on Twitch. And now here I am, having two separate YouTube channels, one for content like this, and one for just me to exercise my creativity and inner child, just play video games and talk about anime. And then above that, you have the solar plexus. This is where your willpower, like, what gets you moving, what helps you focus, again, you can ask this question again, what motivates you to do these things? Like, again, these are just some questions to ask yourself, because the more probing questions you can dig up that are more specific for you, the better. Because again, if you're working with me, we're pretty much going to go through the same process. But if you're trying to do this on your own, I have so many videos on this channel to guide you through the process. But again, always, if you want that extra help, you know how to reach me. Stuff is in the description. But moving on, with the solar plexus. And again, these three bottom chakras are where majority, I would say like 90% of people in the US are stuck. Not many move past that to the inner child, because the inner child the fourth chakra, the heart chakra, that literally involves healing the inner child and loving yourself, giving yourself that love that you never got as a kid. And that's something I realized again through my relationship with my mom. Yes, she did the best she could with what she had, but I cannot ignore it could have been better. There are things that my sister and I could have not experienced growing up, but we did. And admittedly, one of those things was out of her power because she was not in charge of paying water. The landlord job was to pay the water bill. He just so happened to do drugs. So, yeah, all in all, I've learned to forgive. I've learned to love unconditionally with boundaries. And you healing your inner child can look like that. Ask yourself, do I need to set any boundaries with anyone? Is there anything about myself I want to work on? Is there anything about myself I hate? Like, how am I showing myself that I love myself? Like, it's those kind of questions that you ask yourself, and your brain is going to, your cerebral everything will. Okay. Let me take a. Man, this video is longer than I thought, because like my brain is like, oh wait, this is important too. So we were talking about that. We are at the fourth chakra right now. But with how the brain works, you have the conscious and the subconscious. Your subconscious is 90%. That is that iceberg. Like those surface level questions we were talking about a moment ago, that is the top of the iceberg. That's 10%. But that 90%, that's everything you truly are down there, which is why we have to dig for these questions so we can go deeper and deeper into this iceberg. So that way we can purify the iceberg, or in other words, unravel the layers of the iceberg so you can get to your authenticity. Because again, a lot of the stuff of who we are is not us. It's movies, it's TV shows. Again, that movies and TV shows can be like the societal labels and things put on us. And it's whatever our parents and their predecessors didn't take care of that passed on to us through our mother. It's all that. Like I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say it again, because now I'm gonna get back to it. Because now, we were just talking about the heart chakra. So yes, healing the inner child will be the same as healing the heart chakra. It's one and the same. You pretty much can't fully do one without the other. And after that, we have the throat chakra. The throat chakra is the one, admittedly, like I said before, the sacral chakra connects to the higher chakras because expression, creativity. So like, I would definitely say the sacral would be connected to, correct me if I'm wrong, the heart, the throat, and the crown. For sure, because those energies will rise up into those spaces anyway. So, yeah, now we're at the throat chakra. And, which I didn't mention this before, but I've said it in other videos. The three higher chakras are your feminine chakras. You have the throat, the third eye, and the crown. These are the chakras that, admittedly, majority of the people in Asia and Africa. I am so sorry about Australia. I'm just realizing, every time I had this dialogue or this conversation, I realized I never put, Australia. I'm not sure where Australia would be in this, because I seen a map that was talking about this some years ago, but I don't remember what color Australia was. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I'm definitely gonna have to figure that out. So if I can find it, that's one thing. So far, I just found like a description of it and whatnot. So if I can actually find the map, I'll show it. But according to what I was reading, Australia would be yellow in terms of like the solar plexus. But it doesn't change the fact of man, I can't believe I lost my train of thought again. To try to find that map, and I completely forgot my train of thought of what I was talking about. Because I know I was talking about North America, or the US in particular, being a combination of the three lower chakras, while Asia being a combination of the three higher chakras. I'm just gonna skip it and just get back on topic, because I remember what the main topic was when I was talking about the throat chakra, and how the throat chakra And the throat chakra, the heart chakra, and the crown chakra connect to the sacral chakra. And I was bringing up that with the continents for a reason. I cannot remember what that reason was anymore. It might be a post-edit thing that I do when I go back and rewatch it, but I also might not do it because this is the end of the video. But okay, I'm gonna get back to it. So yes, the throat chakra. And I also was mentioning Twitch helping me exercise the throat chakra. But yes, with the throat chakra, that's when you are essentially asking yourself questions that involve around how you express yourself vocally. And admittedly, this is a really good one actually, because I've realized with me going through the process of exercising and healing my throat chakra, I've noticed how it has manifested in my experience. For me, it's like a lot of people or a lot of interactions I would be in, people would interrupt me while I talk often. And I would, in the beginning, at one point, lash out at them and be like, yo, shut up and let me talk. Or can I finish talking? Or I'll let you speak. Now allow me to speak. Now, true, yes, some people are just not good communicators and don't really want to communicate, but want to just hear themselves talk. However, that still doesn't change the fact that on a deeper level, it does reflect something to the individual who is saying and experiencing this. For me, that's what I was noticing. I'm noticing like, okay, this is happening a lot. Yes, I could communicate that bit extra to them, which I've had in the past, and be like, yo, hey, I'll let you talk. Now it's my turn. And this is just not in disagreement interactions. This is in multiple interactions where we're just like talking about something, and I'll be talking about the thing that we're talking about, but then I would just get interrupted by someone else just talking over me. And I'm just like, like, bruh, I was clearly doing that. But anyway. So that's how a wounded throat chakra can manifest in your experience. And now you're probably asking yourself like, okay, so how do I get over that? That is by, same as the previous chakras, you're going to be asking yourself these kinds of questions. Like, is there anywhere you're not using your voice the way you should, is one question. Another one is, am I communicating truth? Am I being honest with myself? Am I lying about anything? That's just some that are coming to mind right now. Because like, when it comes to that, you speaking actual lies, not lies to other people, this is the trick, not lying to other people, but you lying to yourself clogs the throat chakra. So why are you lying to yourself? I mean, yes, in that process of lying to other people, you're also lying to yourself, because for you to respond to whatever they're asking and lie, you are immediately first lying to yourself, because you're not expressing the truth about how you're actually feeling or what is actually going on. You don't have to lie. You can just give a different answer that is relevant. I want to stress that. You don't have to lie. You can give a different answer that is relevant. And if you need a bit of time to answer the question, that's cool. And that's where communication is like really important. Because that's another question you can ask yourself. Like, am I exercising effective communication? You want to keep some of the questions open. Because that could be easily a yes or no question, but it can be elaborated on. Because with that, you would also have to reflect on that most recent interaction you had with someone. Because I do a lot of reflecting, and that's why I'm even saying all this to begin with. Because after majority, or at this point, every interaction I have, I'm always reflecting on it. And it helps me navigate new interactions, because there's always going to be a new interaction. Like, especially when you're in a business of service, like when you're serving people, or in my case, training or mentoring people, I'm always interacting with someone. And even when I'm at the gym and I see someone having bad form, I feel like I am obligated to help that person having bad form so they don't hurt themselves. Otherwise, they will hurt themselves. And I'll be like, dang, I could have just said something. I could have interjected and could have stopped their workout just that one time and helped them with their form, and now they don't have back pain. Well, they wouldn't have back pain right now if they just so happen to get back pain at some point. But yeah, that's for the throat chakra. Now the third eye, that's when things get tricky. So with your third eye, physical manifestations of this, and I find it interesting that I didn't even think about, like for this video, I didn't think about nothing. I just wanted to talk about it, and here I am, and I'm realizing this video might be over an hour long. This video might actually be over an hour long, but anyway. But also find it interesting that I didn't even bother to express how the feminine energies are the metaphysical and the masculine energies are the physical. Because I just gave you examples of how the throat chakra, a feminine chakra, is seen and how it manifests. And right now I'm about to give you examples of how the third eye chakra manifests in your reality. And that involves literally you seeing things. And that sums it up. You seeing things. Not just you seeing things out of your peripherals, because I do see a lot of that, but you just like seeing some unexpected stuff. It can even manifest as you, again, just talking about my experience, you seeing like this. So a couple things came to mind. I was trying to say them all at once. So I always seem to find myself like not even trying to look, not even trying. Like, let's say I'm in a grocery store, right? And I see somebody reach down to grab something, and you see their butt crack. And it's like, you weren't trying to see if you can see their butt crack. You just so happened to look at that direction, and they were bending down, and you saw their butt crack. And he's like, bruh, what? For real? I mean, it is what it is. You just keep it pushing. And another one is, this one time, years ago before I had a car, I was on the bus on my way to work, and I saw someone with this tattoo, and this tattoo was of a phallic piece, a very large, veiny, phallic piece of art. And this is just an example of how it manifests. Like, you are going to see things, like, not like, and truthfully, there's nothing special about this, but again, this is the iceberg we're talking about. On a surface level, this is how it physically manifests. That 10%, this is how it's going to physically manifest. You will see things. Like, you will see things you would never expect to see. And sometimes you will even see things you feel like you shouldn't see, but you're just going to see it. If that makes sense. I hope that works. Because yes, you will see things that you aren't supposed to see. Because for me, besides that, years before I saw that, I did see a ghost. And this was, how old was I? I was still in high school. Or was this middle school? Either way, I know I was still living with my mom. And I was doing laundry. And I was just switching the clothes from the washer to the dryer. Just walking back up the spiral stairs that led to the basement. And on that left turn leading to the second set of stairs going up, out of my peripherals, I saw someone standing at the top of the stairs. And now look, before I even went up the stairs, I looked at the top of the stairs and I'm like, what the heck? Because I clearly saw a man dressed in like robes or house clothes standing at the top of the stairs. And then at some point I found out that the person who that most likely was the guy that died in our apartment sometime before we moved there. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And again, that's one of the ways your third eye being active to some degree is going to manifest. Now with the third eye, to take care of this one was interesting. I feel like I did not have to do a lot of work with taking care of this chakra, Because honestly, this one and the crown, I did not have to do a lot of work for either of those. But for the lower chakras, I've had to do quite a bit of work. For, wow, now that I'm thinking about it, for the throat, and this is just for myself, for the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the solar plexus, and the root chakra, I had to do so much work to heal those. But for my sacral, my third eye, and my crown, those were like if I could put percentages on it, I would say the sacral chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra were probably at like 70% of max capacity. Roughly, I could say even 70% of max capacity. Whereas the root chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, and the throat were probably at like 30-40% of max capacity, just to like give a what I feel what they were in the beginning. Now they're more balanced, but there's always room for more growth because it doesn't stop at 100%. I'm just gonna say that it does not stop at 100%. You just want to keep going. And right now they're definitely more balanced, but it doesn't change the fact that like now, okay, how can I share with you? Because now I'm even thinking about it right now. It's like, wow, personally, I did not have to do a lot for that. I cannot draw on any personal experiences I've had about my third eye to like on how I got it open, because it's always been open. I just realized that it was open, and even in this me having this video, like, yeah, I've always realized it was open. I just didn't know that I knew. I didn't know that I know. I didn't know that I knew it was open. It was just open. But it came a point in time when I did my spiritual journey. I was like, oh, it's always been open, and I've always had a connection to God. Crown chakra is always open, and I've always had like my energy, like I've always had a high sex drive. Like that energy has always been open. I've always been very creative. Again, high sex drive, creative energies always open. So it's like those three chakras were always open from what I've realized. But it doesn't change the fact that for you individuals who are wanting to open your third eye. So with this point, it's like with you already going through the process of working on the 5 chakras before the third eye, by the time you reach the third eye chakra, it's already open. And honestly, it's not a matter of opening it, it's a matter of alignment. You are having more alignment, and as that alignment rises, the eye opens. Because again, with this, your lower chakras are stable and your heart is honest. Clarity becomes the natural state. You're shifting from, again, activation to alignment. This is something that most people think. Most people are assuming that the third eye needs to blast open. And again, even with that, everyone's experience is different. And yeah, you might have, like, you will start to have more vivid dreams. That is something I can say from personal experience. You will have more vivid dreams. Now, nightmares, because talking about personal experiences, because I haven't had a nightmare in, what's this, 2019, it's over 6 years at this point. So if you're still having nightmares, we can also talk about that. And I feel like you learning martial arts will help you with that, because again, at this point, your dreams will be more vivid, your consciousness is expanding. Now looking back at the iceberg, the more of the iceberg is above the surface, because like pretty much you are ascending. Freaking beautiful. The iceberg is ascending to be above the water. Oh man, I never thought about that just now. But yes, the iceberg is ascending to be above water. And again, with the yin and yang aspects, your yin energies are like now meeting together. Like you're creating that balance for the yin, having that inner vision, more vivid dreams, more better perception, and then your yang energies are like having clearer logic, better focus, and grounded interpretation. And it's like when those meet, your insight, your discernment, everything will be better. Your awareness of what's going on around you, your awareness of what's going on within you is already open. You can see everything because you've already done the work leading up to this point. Like, yeah, you doing all this stuff. Like, imagine the scene in Kingdom Hearts where Sora is going up the spiral stairs in Castle Oblivion. That's you. You are Sora attempting to remember who you were and why you do what you do. I freaking love Kingdom Hearts, man. And that's why there's Kingdom Hearts music playing in the background. Oh my god, it comes full circle. Oh man. Yo, that is, yes, you are Sora. Though, personally, I've always identified with Riku. And that's a story for another time. Like, oh man, I've always identified with Riku. I definitely understand him. But yeah, you are ascending, realizing who you are, and gaining more awareness again, more of yourself, more of your true self, because you're unraveling all these things. The more questions you ask yourself in those lower 5 chakras, by the time you get to that 6th chakra, that 6th floor, yo, it's literally night and day. Literally night and day. It's like being, now you're at that point to where you feel like you are over leveled for a lot of things that's going on. You're gonna feel like you might, yeah, this is where you have to check yourself, because this is where a lot of people mess up in the spiritual community. They reach this point in their journey, or at any of those previous floors, they reach a certain point to where their ego gets inflated. This is where you have to check yourself. Okay, perfect, yes. So now that we're at that 6th floor, that 3rd eye, this is where you have to check yourself, because some people get stuck here, and then them getting stuck here, they slowly start to descend, and they do not know that they are descending. Speaking from experience. And like experience and witnessing it just in general, like, oh my god, so many people I've met who are spiritual, they reach a certain point in their journey where their ego is taking, oh, their ego is doing so much, man. But anyway, now things are going to get real. Like, okay, so think of it like this. Reaching that point where you've healed healed this throat chakra, and done all the work on the previous 4 chakras. This is essentially black belt. You are a black belt now when the 3rd eye is open. Just because you're a black belt does not mean the journey is over. The journey is actually beginning. You have officially exited Castle Oblivion as Sora. You have Donald and Goofy, which is so freaking crazy because Donald would be your left hand and Goofy would be the right hand. Oh my god. So you have exited Castle Oblivion, and now you're going to begin your Kingdom Hearts 2 journey. And your freaking ego is your nobody, Roxas, who you were just before, that person you were pretending to be and not knowing who you were. Oh my freaking god, how did this video turn into this? Do I even want to make this the same video? Bro. The person who you were is your nobody. That was Roxas. And you, Donald, and Goofy are now going on your journey to like pretty much reunite and further heal the parts of your childhood, because now you can see Riku being a part of your childhood where you wanted to be a certain kind of like person. You wanted to be that cool person. You wanted to be cool, the cool guy. Everybody at one point wanted to be the cool guy, but now that you see that you can still be the cool guy, now that you know who you are in balancing these energies, but also you have to nurture these feminine energies that you've gained the awareness of. For women, it's natural. It's Kyrie. Like, that's easy. You can easily gravitate towards that because you was born as the feminine energy incarnate. But as men, we have to not use the power of waking the way Sora did and make sure that feminine energy is taken care of in this journey. And I think that's as far as this Kingdom Hearts analogy goes. The fact that it makes so much freaking sense. But yes, That's how I can explain. And if you get Kingdom Hearts lore, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. But to take the Kingdom Hearts lore away, when it comes to the third eye chakra, yes, I cannot really account for like how I took care of it because mine was always opening. But I know from experience that once you continue to work on these other chakras in the process of you doing that, and then how my process was, there was more alignment than there was before. It was already open. Now there's alignment. There's more clarity. There's more everything. There's more authenticity. There's more judgment. There's more discernment. There's more of me being fully aware of the energies and all that. And then on top of that, I became a Reiki master. And then that just amplified everything 100-fold. Like, man, like not even 100-fold, exponentially by 100, because there's so much stuff going on around. And this is why, like, again, me realizing I'm ADHD is like, bro, it's a lot. And it is like, in the beginning, it was overwhelming. And it's like, I'm not even wearing my necklace like I wear, because I've reached a point where I realize I don't need it anymore. And that's, again, something that is a part of the journey in the beginning. Yes, you will need to wear your copper. You will need to wear your protection, because these crystals were, even in the Bible, talked about being used for protection. But again, after you reach a certain point, you realize you don't need them anymore. Because I wear it sometimes, not all the time. But then I'm also realizing that with how it is now. So like, this is titanium aura quartz. I wrapped it myself. This is still kind of like an exoskeleton. What I am going to do moving forward, I'm going to just buy some gold. Like I'm gonna do what I can to find some real gold, actual gold wire, and not like gold painted wire. And I'm gonna just replace this with that, because was supposed to be a scarab, and I got this one in particular because it looked like how some beetles would look. But I've realized I'm actually gonna go get some moldavite, and preferably some moldavite in this same shape, and make it still going to be a scarab. But one of the reasons I didn't finish this because I wasn't sure how I wanted to do the legs, and I also wanted to figure out how I would do it. And also, if you want one of these yourself, like, you would just have to DM me for that, because I do make these. No one has been really serious about it, but I've just been waiting on someone to just like, yo, make me this. And I've had conversations about it, but no one seems to be serious. And it's like, I'm not overcharging or anything. I'm definitely doing reasonable prices for that. Even though I don't overcharge for anything. I'm just being as reasonable as possible, because I gotta pay rent. I'd rather do this for a living, but hey, it needs to be done for a living with prices that mean I can do it for a living. But talking about, yeah, you'll reach a point where you'll reach that black belt status, and that's having already the first 5 chakras taken care of: the root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, and throat. And by the time you reach that, again, you have exited Castle Oblivion with your Donald and Goofy, and you're continuing that reunion of yourself, being that cool guy or that cool girl, being your authentic self, while also taking care of your feminine energies. And then for those individuals who are born incarnated as the feminine energy, that'd be easier for you. But for us men who are born incarnately, who are incarnate as the masculine, we have to be more careful with that, because that's not something we are used to dealing with. Because with both of these energies, the masculine and the feminine, we operate differently. It's not even a matter of gender roles. We just think differently. Bottom line, we just think differently. And then for you individuals who feel that who are incarnated as a masculine or feminine, but don't feel like you align with that, you have to do what works for you. For the men, my apologies. No. Let me test that back. For those individuals who incarnated here as men, but feel like you're not that, you have to approach this as a woman would. You have to nurture. Honestly, you have to nurture your feminine energies more than we would. For the men who are still aligning with their masculine, whether you trans women, you would have to align and nurture your feminine energies as much as a woman would nurture her feminine energies, but you cannot neglect the masculine energy. You cannot neglect Riku. Or in this case, you cannot, for the anime heads, you cannot neglect Sasuke. Your Hinata, or yeah, no, let's not use Hinata. Let's just say Sakura, because that's the same parallel there between Sora, Riku, Kairi. There's Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura. Same characters through and through. Like, oh my god, bro, the parallels are ridiculous. But yeah, okay. Then let me stop there because this video is already long. So that is what the third eye is, and after you have become more acquainted with that, and honestly, while you are becoming more acquainted with that, again, the third eye and the crown chakras are connected. Your crown chakra is connected to your purpose, and that one you can literally just flat out ask God, like because I've done this before, and in my dreams, God has shown me what I'm supposed to do. And again, my realization a moment ago is that sacral chakra, third eye, and crown chakra were always open. My very first dream, my very first vivid dream I had was 2011, July 24th, 3:34 a.m. I woke up from this dream, this vivid ass dream. God told me what I gotta do. Like, I already know what my purpose is. But for you, you can just outright ask God, what am I to do? And some of you already do that. Like, regardless of what your religious affiliation is, some of you already do that anyway. So like, after you do all those, after you carry out those 5 floors and get to the 6th floor and exit Castle Oblivion, you you already have a relationship with God. And for me, I was doing Ramadan at that time. At the time, I was identifying as Muslim, so I was doing Ramadan for the first time, and that was on like the 24th day. Wait, yeah, because Ramadan started in July. Yeah, at that point, Ramadan was in July. Like, all of July was Ramadan, and that was like, yeah, the 24th, July 24th, because my birthday was July 23rd. But yeah, July 24th to like 3 something a.m. is when I woke up from that dream, and God was telling me what I need to do. So I know my purpose. But again, the crown chakra is about your purpose and your relationship with God, and how you want to go about that. Not just your relationship with God, but your connection to God. Because again, that's why I say at that 6th chakra, you have to check yourself. Otherwise, your ego will take over. And this is why the Bhagavad Gita also talks about what it talks about. Because the Bhagavad Gita talks about you using your lower self, your ego, to help you ascend to Christ consciousness. Because now at this point, at that third eye, that's the seat of Christ consciousness. But if you don't check yourself, your ego will take over, and then instead of being King Soul, it'll be King Ego. We're referencing the Bhagavad Gita now. And again, we at the top. So now this is your connection to God, your relationship with God, your purpose. What are you here for? These are the kind of questions you will ask God. Like, what am I here for? Why am I here? What am I doing this for? And those answers will vary depending on you. Like for me, I've learned that I'm here to help people. And like I mentioned before, I want to do this for a living, but my prices have to reflect that I will be able to do this for a living. So whether it be me creating the crystal, the copper route jewelry, personal training, spiritual advisory and counseling, like it has to reflect that so I can actually do this for a living. So I know what I'm here for. I mean, even if I don't do that, I'm still being of service and helping people in one way or another. That's why I'm here. And I also like to dub it as me teaching people how to be human, because a lot of the stuff, like even referencing the Aberrant Preach video, is pulling people away from just exercising what it means to be human. And it's crazy that just simply wanting people to have a pure and clean human experience will label you as liberal. That does not make any sense. Why does it have to be a label? Why can't you just want people to have food and shelter? Don't make no sense. Because I don't identify as liberal. I'm not gonna. No, I don't identify as liberal at all. I don't identify as conservative either. Like, when I say I don't care about politics, I mean I don't care about who you vote for, because that stuff is rigged, man. I'm finna stop right there, because, like, bro, like, that stuff, like, it baffles me that people are still participating in this nonsense when we have been shown on multiple occasions that they do not care about us. Don't you know that Michael Jackson had to go to a different country? He had to go to a different country to film the video. They don't care about us. Why? Because in the song he talks about that they don't care about us. And then we look at the track records of each political party, you see that they are, like, actively doing things that's not benefiting everyone. Why is it a bad thing to want everyone to benefit from someone? I could go on. This video can be oh my god. I'm gonna stop though, because it's frustrating. Like, I was talking to someone who, she considered herself as liberal, and I mentioned to her that I don't consider myself as liberal or conservative, but just in conversation, like, she grew to, like, really trust me and actually like me, because like, someone who, like, doesn't identify as liberal, but they are so well informed about what's going on, because, like, bruh, like, what, man? Bruh, I could go on about so much stuff that don't make sense, but again, I don't identify as liberal. Like, even though it might say on paper that I am, no. Like, why are you trying to put me in a box? Like, that's a form, like, that is the the worst thing you can do to someone, is just put them in a box. Especially somebody who got ADHD. Like, why are you trying to put me in a box, bro? Let me just be me. Let me exercise my existence. Let me howl my existence. Unadulterated. Because it's like, for example, when it comes to all these religions, like, I'm gonna close the video in a bit, because now I'm at the point where I've said what I need to say about 7 chakras and what you need to do. Now, if you still sticking around, I appreciate that, because I'm just gonna talk and rant for a little bit. Not too much, but enough, you know? Because, like, now I've been talking about this whole thing with the religious stuff, because Yahshua, his real name, not Jesus, he was not Christian. Buddha was not Buddhist. Dang, I cannot remember his name. But the person who started Sikhism was not Sikh. Muhammad was not Muslim. I'm not sure if I already said that or not, but it's like, yeah, these people that these religions or these movements are based off are not the title or label itself. So similarly, for myself, I don't identify or label myself as liberal. It's like, why is me wanting people to have their basic needs met put me in a box? Why are you trying to compartmentalize existence in the way that you're doing it, which it results in people not having food, water, or shelter? What? But I'm done. It don't make no sense. And then on top of that, like, why are you trying to control what people do with their bodies? Let them do what they want to do. What is the point of us having our own free will, God-given free will, if you are trying to prevent people from doing what they need to do? Like, bro, why are you trying to decide what people do with their bodies? Oh my God, like, why? It don't make no sense. I'm gonna stop right here, because it's so freaking frustrating, man. And then there are so many people that are on board with denying people just basic shit. What is wrong with people, man? But this is why I'm saying that these individuals that are okay with denying people basic shit, they need to work on healing probably both their masculine and feminine energies. At first I said only their feminine energies, but it's potentially both. Because this has been Master Jamal. If you are interested in working with me, the links will be down in the description. And also, if you are interested in any of the copper jewelry that I can actually make for you, you can just DM me on Instagram or comment down below if you're interested. But yeah, peace, love, prosperity to you, and I'll see you next time. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.